Hey Photography Mafia, learn easy breezy bird photography editing. I'll be using Lightroom Classic, but most photography software will be able to accomplish the same results. However, some bird photos come out blurry, which Lightroom Classic can't fix, but I have an essential app that can fix that. The raw files of this bird, the blue-footed booby from the Galapagos Islands, will be available for download. I'm also giving away free photography software. Thank you! So make sure to check the description. Let's get started. I took this photo in the Galapagos Islands after my time volunteering at a biological reserve. And we'll take a look at this a little bit closer. And we can see there's some noise here. And it's not that sharp, especially around the beak area here. So the first thing I'm going to do to edit this image is I'm going to apply a lens correction. I'm going to enable the lens correction. And for some reason, Lightroom Classic always selects the Sigma lens, but I know it was a Tamron. It's very similar because they're both 24 to 70 millimeters, but it's a very subtle change. And now what I can do is I can reduce the noise, or I can start sharpening it. But I've already tested this image out regarding the sharpening, and Lightroom Classic doesn't do a good job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this image. I'm going to click on edit in, and I'm going to bring this photo into Topaz Photo AI to do my noise reduction as well as my sharpening. So I'll just edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. I will keep it as a TIFF file and so forth, and I'll click on edit. And now it's going to export this image into Topaz Photo AI, which will just take a few seconds to load. Now I have this image opened up in Topaz Photo AI, and Topaz Photo AI automatically applied some noise reduction. So let's take a look in here and zoom in. So here's the before and here's the after. So the noise reduction is very good, like it did a pretty good job. Now what I want to do is I want to add another enhancement. I want to add a manual enhancement of sharpening. And it's going to automatically sharpen this image and detect the subject. So you can see it did an auto selection of subject, and it selected the blue-footed booby. And I'm just going to go to natural here for the AI model. I usually find natural the best sharpening model. So you can see it did a really good job along the beak here. Obviously these are feathers, which we'll just leave as is, and I'll just zoom out here. And this image looks pretty good. It's enhancing right now. So you can see a lot of the detail on the feathers here. The beak looks a lot better. The feet look a lot better. So I'm going to click on export to Adobe Lightroom Classic here. So it's going to put this image file back into Lightroom Classic. It'll be a new TIFF file that it created. Okay, great. So I have this image here. And let's take a look and zoom in. So it looks good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the crop tool. I'll click on the keyboard shortcut R, and I'll just create a slight rule of thirds crop. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to go to the aspect ratio and keep it at 16:9, which is very common for the landscape orientation, especially if you're sharing it online. This is a partial rule of thirds crop, not exactly the best, so don't come yelling at me. So I'll just keep it at that. Now what I'll do is I'll just do some basic tone and color at the basic panel here. I'll just add a little bit of contrast. You can see the blacks are not as black, and the highlights or the whites could be mapped a little bit better. So one thing I can do is I can map the blacks, and I can map the whites a little bit better. And I'm going to add a little bit of vibrance to this image and a little bit of saturation. So if we look at the before and after, this image looks pretty good now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the bird itself. So I want to work on the feet here. So I'll go to the masking tool. I'm going to click on brush. And I'm going to click on auto mask here, and let me just zoom in here. And with auto mask, it'll help me select the edges better. So I just got to make sure this plus sign doesn't go outside of the edges of the feet. So I will start brushing away. And let me go here. And I don't need to get it perfect, because the way I'm going to select the feet as well is through a tone or color picker. So here we go here. Here we go here. Like that. And you can see some parts of the feet inside, it didn't do a good job. I can just uncheck auto mask and just brush right here. And brush this here. And brush this here. And now what I'll do is I'll just zoom out, and I'm going to go to the tone picker or the point color right here with the color selector tool. I'm going to select the feet right here. Right there, looks good. So now I have the feet selected better. I'll click on the visualize range here to show you what it's selecting. So you can see around here while I'm moving the range, it maps it in and out or selects it in and out. But I think keeping it at 75 selects the best range. So I'll just uncheck this. Now I'm going to increase the saturation a little bit. I'll show you how it looks when I overcook it. So I'm going to keep it around, let's say 30. The hue I will not change, but sometimes changing the luminance, darkening it or brightening it makes it a little bit better. So I think I'll keep that around 10. So great. So now I have this bird looking a lot better now. So let's see it without the mask. So I will hide the mask. So this is without the mask, and this is with the mask. Now I'm going to create a new mask. I want to select this eye here. I'll go to the brush tool. I'll zoom in. I have auto mask deselected, which is fine. The feather looks good. I'm just going to increase the size of this brush by 1 point. Actually, I'll decrease it back. I'm just going to click on it once right here. Okay, great. So now I'm just going to go to the saturation, increase the saturation a little bit. And I want to make sure I have this map selected. So let's go to show overlay. So I do have it selected. That's good. And the other thing I can do is I can add a little bit of contrast here, and it just makes a subtle improvement. And then I can add a little bit of clarity right here. So if I zoom in here, let's zoom into about 800 on this eye. And let's see the before and after of this mask. This is the before, and here's the after. And I think I can crank up this saturation more without overdoing it. So let's zoom out here. Let's take a look at this eye. That looks pretty good. Let's see it without it. And this is with it. So it's a very subtle change, so you may not even notice it like someone else viewing this photo. So I think it's pretty good. And let's see what else I can do here. And one thing I can do is try to brighten up the midtones here. So I will select another mask. I'm going to go to the radial gradient tool and select this area here. Let me rotate it. That looks good. Like that. Now I'm going to go to the curve tool and just increase the midtones. So I'm just going to put a little bit more focus on it in this area, which looks pretty good. And another thing I do want to select is this red in the background while I'm at this mask. So I'm going to go to the point color and I'm going to select some of this red or orangish or brownish dirt or sand here, or the ground. So it's selected right here. And I'm going to increase the saturation just slightly. Actually, it's not slightly, it's 40, but it looks like it's slightly on the image. And let's see the luminance. And I'll just bring up the luminance a little bit here. So let's take a look at the before and after of this image. This is the before and this is the after. And that looks pretty good. So I'll get out of this. And this image looks pretty good now. I think I'm pretty satisfied with it. Of course, there's different things we can do with the color, or if we want to do some split toning. And I can just add a classic vignette to this. So I'll go to the effects panel and I'll keep this at highlight priority. And let's decrease or darken up the corners a little bit. I think I'm going to keep it at 15. Let's see before and after, before and after. So voila, what do you guys think of this image? So I did a little bit of noise reduction, sharpening, some masking of the feet, coloring of the eyes. The feathers look really good. And I added a little bit more color to the background here, to the red to bring it out. And I brightened up the midtones here. I can brighten it up more if I want to make it a little bit better. It's up to you guys how you want to process this image. And just remember, this image or this raw file is available to download, so make sure to check the description. And as always, live easy, sleep breezy, and stay lovely.